Moikka ja tervetuloa MerkitysPODin uuden jakson pariin. Täällä on Marja ja ihanaa, että sä oot löytänyt tämän uuden jakson pariin. Tänään meillä on vieraana Justine Cederberg, Porvoossa asuva, mutta alun perin Kanadasta kotoisin. Hän on jo reilu 10 vuotta asunut täällä Suomessa. Justine on auyrveda-ammattilainen ja asiantuntija ja herbalisti, yrittäjä. Ja tänään tämä jakso tulee olemaan tämä keskustelu englanniksi. Ja tämä on jo alun perin noin vuosi sitten, 2024 vuoden alussa nauhoitettu, eli äänitetty tuolla Instagram-livessä. Ja tämä on julkaistu ekan kerran tuolla autuuspodin puolella jo sitten silloin vajaa vuosi sitten. Ja nytten tosiaan tämä on nyt kolmas näistä ennakkoon jo kertaalleen julkaistusta jaksosta. Ja seuraava jakso tulee olemaan sitten 2024 syksyllä nyt näitä uusia äänitettyjä jaksoja. Mutta kaikissa on tämä tosiaan sama teema, tämä pyörii tässä merkityksellisen työn ympärillä ja sitten tosiaan näiden vieraiden sen oman intohimon, niin kuin siitä usein puhutaan sit siitä heidän omasta intohimostaan ja ammatistaan ja muutenkin elämästä aika laajasti tullaan juttelemaan näissä jaksoissa. Toivotan sut tervetulleeksi pidemmittä puheitta tämän päiväisen jakson pariin. Toivottavasti nautit kuuntelusta ja mut löytää tuolta Instagramista Autuusmarjan nimellä ja sitten tämä MerkitysPOD löytyy myös sieltä Instasta sillä nimellä oma profiili, eli tervetuloa sinne kanssa mukaan fiilistelemään. Jes, ihania kuunteluhetkiä sinulle. Moikka! Hi Justin and welcome to this IG live.
Yeah, thank you for having me. We've been talking about this for a while, so always at those cafe chats, we have some good ideas come up during those times.
Yes, really nice. Thank you for coming. And today we are discussing about like meaningfulness and meaningful work which you are doing in Ayurveda, and you have this company, Prasad Norvik Ayurveda. So you can tell about a little bit your story, where are you from, and how did you end up here in Porvoo, Finland? And I have a few questions for you. So let's start. So you can tell like who you are and where you are from originally.
Yeah, I'm Justine Cederberg, and I'm originally from Vancouver Island in Canada. And Vancouver Island is a really special place. It's a rainforest, so we have really beautiful big trees and deep forest there. So I was really lucky to grow up there. And also our plant knowledge there is quite strong. So it's common that people know how to use the plants and how to make medicine with them. And we've also learned a lot from our traditional elders there and Native American peoples there as well. So my heart will always be in Vancouver Island, and I am a little homesick for it, of course. I've been away in Finland now for 10 years. But I did move to Finland for love. Mm-hmm. I think many of us who move to Finland, it's usually for love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a family here now, and my business Prasad, so I'm here to stay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice. Is that Vancouver Island, is it like small place? I don't know about that at all.
Yeah, so. It's a really big island, and it's next to Vancouver. It takes about a 2.5 hour boat ride to get there from Vancouver. So it's kind of like when you take the big boat from Helsinki to Tallinn in a large boat and quite a bit of distance. Although the boat, I would say, from Vancouver to Vancouver Island doesn't have as much alcohol going.
Okay. Yeah. So first about like this meaningfulness subject which we are discussing today. So what things in life brings you meaningfulness, like in general?
So I really like working with the plants. That's definitely something that I will always do. Like if people ask, if you didn't have to work, what would you do? And I would always continue to work with plants. So a lot of my purpose in life comes from that. So I guess meaningfulness and purpose are really tied together for me, because I feel like I need to have a purpose on this planet, as most people do. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm here to help people, especially through plant medicine. Like, that's my calling in life and what I've been doing for a long time, and sharing with that wisdom here with Finnish people, which goes together quite well because, you know, Finns, they have that plant medicine as part of their ancestry, maybe had skipped one generation. But I think maybe your grandmother or grandparents probably knew and used plants quite a lot. It's kind of having a resurgence, so it's coming back again. It's coming clarity now. But I have to teach classes definitely to Finns still, teaching Finns. Even though I'm Canadian, I have to teach the Finns how to identify and how to work with their plants as medicine.
Okay, so you have like the plant knowledge from Canada, and then like Ayurvedic, is it like from East?
Yeah, so I can tell you why I use Ayurveda in my practice, because it is very far away. But what I like to use Ayurveda for is more like a lens. So I'm looking at everything, whether it's cold, it's wet, it's dry, it's hot. That's how we look at things through Ayurveda. So you can look at anything through that lens. You know, you can look at foods here through that lens. You can look at plants here through that lens. So that's why it's a very good base or grounding to have. And then through that, we can use the local foods and plants, but from an Ayurvedic perspective. Like I said, does this person need a cooling plant? Do they need a healing or heating plant? Are they really dried out, or are they really moist? And that's where I can use either Ayurvedic herbs or local Finnish plants in that same regard. So I really like to use the local Finnish plants as much as possible. But a lot of our wild plants here are really good for purification, and especially clearing out a heavy winter in the springtime. You know, in the spring, we have a lot of really beautiful, wild, powerful plants here, which are great for clearing out that long winter. But when people have had really chronic illness, maybe 10 or more years, sometimes I need to look to more of these Eastern medicines like Ayurveda for plants that work on these chronic issues really well. So you can see we have strengths in different parts of the world as far as our herbs. And we have some of these very potent formulas that are being made in Ayurveda that have been used for a very long time. And we can see that they work just because of their long lifespan, you know, and there's that lineage, that tradition of the medicine there. We're here in Europe, our medicine has been quite broken. So we don't have that living tradition to learn from as well. So we haven't seen some of the formulas, how they're working. We may be looking at books and reading about them, but have we actually had a continued use of them to see how they're working is the question. That's why I really like Ayurveda, because that living tradition.
Is that like plant medicine in all Canada, or is it just the place you are from, like really like known, or is it like all over the Canada area?
Well, Canada is huge, and we have very different climates depending if you're east, west, or north or south. So Vancouver Island, like I said, it's really moist. We get a lot of rain, so we get really good plant growth there, and it's quite easy to grow from seed. Also, the winters barely freeze, so the plants, they renew every year. We don't have to replant like here in Finland. There's a lot of replanting if you want to have a medicinal garden. So it's a very mild climate there, which makes it easy. So I think that's why the tradition has survived there quite well, because of the ease of being able to grow and have a bountiful growing season. I think also Ireland is more isolated, so you're less affected by the outer world. So a lot of traditions survive in smaller places for longer. So I think that might be part of it as well.
How was it like to come in Finland and get to know this climate and these like local herbs here?
Well, luckily we do have a lot of the same plants and trees here, so I did know a lot of them already, but we would have a smaller selection here. So it actually really forced me to work mostly with wild plants. I would say my garden here is the smallest garden I've ever had because it is so challenging. You know, we have a very shady yard with a hill and lots of trees, so our yard melts very, very late. It's very hard to get a spring planting going here, almost impossible. So I grow some of my favorite crops, but I definitely don't have the same medicinal garden that I'm used to having. So like I said, that really forces me to work with the wild plants here more so. And also I would say that the Finnish wild plants, they have a lot more potency than wild herbs from other parts of the world, you know, because of the survival. They have to thrive through that winter and survive. Where we're they're like, oh, it's pretty easy living here, so I don't need to maybe produce as much medicinal quality. But the plants here, they really do need to produce a lot to survive.
What are like the 3 most potent like Finnish herbs?
Yeah, so as far as potency goes, well, maybe I would start with one that most meat-eating Finns should really have. And that would be the dandelion, which is the voikukka. And that's really common and really easy to identify. Everybody has that if they have a garden. You can even find it, you know, in local parks and on the street. It's like on the street side, like, hi, I'm here. Time to add me to your salad. So that really helps the liver and helps break down the meat as well. So some people think of Ayurveda as only vegetarian diet, but traditionally Ayurveda does use meat, but it does look at it more of a medicinal way, like how we can nourish the body with that. So traditional Ayurveda looks at eating what is local. So they were looking in the Ayurvedic texts that people were eating goats, for example. They were goat herders. They were eating that. So here in Finland, you know, we have the reindeer and we have a lot of our wild animals here as well. So, but you know, they did eat a lot of these wild plants to help break down all the meat eating. So we really need, if as meat eaters here, we need to, as most of us are. I mean, of course, you can be vegetarian, have no issues there. I'm just saying if you are eating the local meat, then, you know, you got to really add in those wild plants to help digest that and break that down. So that would be one easy one that people could start adding in. As far as potency goes, there's the rose root, which is rhodiola, and that's up in the north. So we don't have that down here in the south. So that's very potent. And it's a very strong adaptogen herb. So that would be something that I would recommend taking for shorter periods, not something to take inevitably for long period. So you could do that in times of stress because it will help your body adapt to that stressful time. Some herbalists would maybe say take a break from it actually during a flu, because adaptogens can actually, because they're so adapting, it might actually make your body adapt to that flu, like accept that you have it and kind of hang on to it for longer.
Oh, okay.
So I think a mistake that some people make with adaptogens is they start taking them a lot when they get the flu, you know, but they're really maybe better to take as a preventative. You know, you're really stressed and you don't want to get a flu, so you take them at that time. Yeah. So that would be the number 2. So we have like a good local, easy to identify one. Then we have a more potent one. Why don't we talk about the Finnish wild roses? Because I classify those as really potent, but in this very spiritual and emotional level. So roses, they really help to open and lift the heart chakra. So when we are closed in the heart and having this sort of sadness or this darkness, this long, heavy winter, right? We need the opposite. So Ayurveda is always looking at opposites. Like if you're cold, you make yourself warm. If you're warm, you cool yourself down. So if you're feeling stuck and unhappy and sad, you know, you got to do the opposite, right? You got to open it up and lift it up and brighten it up. So roses really help to do that. And we have these amazing Finnish wild roses here in Finland. They're the best roses I've ever worked with, because when I am working with them, they actually release all of their medicine out of the rose petal. It becomes like completely clear. There's nothing left. All the reddish pink just comes purely out. And the smell and the taste is so much more vibrant than other roses I've worked with. And luckily, there's no risk of over-harvesting in Finland because the government's actually encouraging people to remove them and dig them out because they're quite invasive. So we should be, making jams with them, making throat salves, making tinctures like I do. I make this really great lemon roto or love elixir tincture, which I know is one of your personal favorites.
Yeah, just had it. Yeah.
Yeah, so those would be my three recommendations at the moment for Finland.
Yes, thank you. It's really good to have like good recommendations for people who listen if they want to try. I would like to ask, this may be a really stupid question, but I was thinking about like blueberry. Is it like totally different? Like it's not herb, but it's like berry? So
yeah,
do you say like belong to your like repertoire?
Yeah, it's not a stupid question at all. That's again how we can look at it through the Ayurvedic lens. Like, what is blueberry? Okay, it's a berry. But what is its rasa? So what is its taste? Its taste is a little bit sweet and sour, I would say. Most of the berries are very sour, and blueberry is a little more on the sweeter side, a little less sour side. So it's actually going to aggravate people with heat less because it's not so sour. So people have a lot of body heat. If they eat too much sour berry, it's going to increase more of that body heat, which could also create like aggravation, anger. It could create infections like chronic eye, ear infections, all kinds of heat-related issues, hot blood. You can see it sometimes through the skin, like it's trying to push out, like if people have a lot of acne and redness and rashes pushing out through the skin. So blueberry would be the best berry for those people because we grow it wild here. We should be eating a lot of it. And it actually has a little bit of a cooling effect where the other berries are more heating. So I love the Finnish blueberries for that reason. Because usually if you go see an Ayurvedic doctor, like an Indian Ayurvedic doctor, they will tell all Finns not to eat the berries.
Really?
If they have issues. And that's like a lot of Finns. A lot of Finns do have, this, we're talking about pitta now, which is this fire element. And they'll say for people with their fire elements too strong, no, you can't eat Finnish berries. And then that's it. Finns don't want to go follow Ayurveda. They think it's too difficult. It doesn't make sense. So we need to look at this Nordic Ayurveda, which is my specialty, is let's look more closely at each berry because maybe the Indian doctors, they don't know the difference between the berries here very well. They just kind of put them all together in one. See that the blueberry is more cooling, so would be more suitable for those people with that heated system.
Yeah. Okay. So can you tell about a little bit about your career? How did it start, and have you always been doing this, or have you been doing something else before?
Well, I've always been working with plants, like I said, because I'm from the island. It's being there in the culture and making medicines. I started out, for friends and family and myself, of course, and I always wanted to do it more and go bigger. But I was working as a commercial photographer for 10 years on the island there. So that's really what I was doing to support myself financially, where the herbalism, was more of a lifestyle that through friends and family, like I said. But when I moved to Finland, it was a great opportunity to completely switch careers. Like, because I had slowly been working towards it for, like a decade, building more and more. I studied Ayurveda in Portland, Oregon. So I had my herbalism and I had my Ayurvedic studies. And then right when I moved here, I decided it's the perfect time to change. I just gave up the photography completely and went full in to working with Ayurveda here and started my own company, making the products officially through all the Finnish bureaucracy with all the labeling and everything. And yeah, I haven't looked back since. I've just been growing the company bigger ever since then and always adding in new things. And we even had an Ayurveda Institute in Finland going on for a 3-year program. So it was been really fun studying with different people too. We flying in doctors from India there, and we're studying with them. So it was quite exciting times in Ayurveda over the past 10 years. Yeah. Unfortunately, the Institute didn't survive COVID, so you can't sign up for it now at this time, but I've always got it in my back pocket about possibly starting up an educational program again for everybody here. But I do have, I have written a book on Nordic Ayurveda, and I am discussing with publishers at the moment. So keep an eye out for that. That will be really helpful for those, especially if you've read some of the basic Ayurveda books. They can be really confusing when you're trying to use them here in Finland. I've written it in a way where you can really incorporate Ayurveda easily in a Nordic way.
So does the book come in English or in Finnish or in both languages?
I have written it in English, and I'm talking with publishers about having it translated to Finnish, because I would really like it to be in Finnish for Finns, of course. So it all depends on the publishers and how that goes.
Okay, we'll wait. Wait for that. Thanks for letting us know. So I would like to ask a little bit more specific, like how did you know what's your thing, your own thing, what's your purpose? How did you, from which you like, where did you felt it? Which like concrete things you like noticed that this is my thing?
Well, I think growing up on the island is quite a special place, magical place, where there's a lot of forest play. We moved quite a bit to different areas of the island, and the schools that I remember the most, or even the houses that we lived in, were the ones where there was forest right there. So if my backyard was forest or the backyard of the school was forest, I have really strong visual memories from there. You know, pretending there were little gnomes and fairies there and playing with the plants and the trees with them and like feeding them things from the forest. So I think that's really where I got my basis already with plant medicine, was working there. And when I hear my daughter and what she's learning at school through the Steiner, it sounds really similar, related there. There's a lot of talk about gnomes and fairies and things too. So I think those cultures combine well together. I think there's a lot of similarities there. And I'm guessing you had that in your childhood here too. I think a lot of Finns had this kind of special magical forest connection.
Yeah, not in school, I don't remember, but like in like summer cottages and stuff.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
cottage life. So, you know, I think Finns do have that upbringing based around that, whether it's through their education or through their summertime holidays, or they have had that. And so yeah, starting with that from childhood, and I guess I always knew from a young age I was pretty different than the other kids. I would definitely had different interests. I like to be alone more. I like to be in the forest more. I wasn't maybe so interested in so much like my fashion and things like the other girls were in school. I remember I was kind of like more simple. Like I liked jewelry and things, but I kind of dressed like a boy, like classic kind of wanting to just be in the forest. You know, it was kind of hard to wear dresses and be in the forest all the time. So I didn't really wear those when I was younger. I was, like I said, I was more focused on the playtime and kind of had more fun playing with the boys actually, because they didn't mind like getting dirty. You know, they didn't mind, like the girls were kind of a little more like, no, I don't want to do that because I'm going to get my dress dirty or my shoes or whatever. But I didn't seem to care about that. And I think that connection to nature is so important in an upbringing, you know, having that earth connection. And I see that for some kids, they don't have that anymore. You know, there's not so much forest access anymore. Like schools don't really have much, but like a stone playground or something like that. So this kind of rewilding, you know, getting the kids back into the nature, I think would be good for everybody as far as being able to have more of a connection to the wild plants, because if you're not really around them, it's hard to grow up and learn about them. And that's the best time to learn, of course, is when you're a kid. You know, I guess in the beginning I was quite self-taught because I was asking a lot of questions like, well, what is this and what is that? And I was taking books and, you know, looking like to learn what the things were, because I knew what they were by visual. Like I could probably draw them and color them at first, but I didn't know maybe the name of it or if it had any medicinal help. So those were things I slowly learned over time through books, and then eventually started taking classes and studied with really great herbalists and, just been going on that ever since.
So you knew like from childhood, because maybe like for me and some other people, it's like difficult to find the purpose and their own thing, but you knew it like from the childhood and always kept it going.
Yeah, I did. And I think the reason why I went into photography as a career and not herbalism is because herbalism, it was always like just something that you did. It wasn't something you would charge money for necessarily or think about having as a career. I think it was just something you would give. Like it was more like a gift. If you knew how to make some medicine, you would make a bunch and you would share it with your friends. Or we would trade sometimes, like, hey, I've got a lot of extra St. John's wort oil. Well, that's rare to have a lot of extra, but that's one of my favorite oils, and you trade it for somebody who made like, too much nettle tincture or something. So it had kind of more of this trading base and just like to help people kind of system. So I never really thought about it so much as like a career, because I had this other side of me where I was told like you need to make money and you need to survive, and and my dad always taught me to be an entrepreneur. He always said you'll never make any money working for anybody else. Like that was kind of like his motto in life. You always have to like work for yourself. So I always had that in mind. And for some reason, I never connected the like herbalism to that. I just thought it's always going to be like, that's like my way of life and how I get through this world, like motivate through the world. But I didn't really think about it as a career until after I'd been working in photography for a long time. And I was really good at it. I was really visual and artistic, but I wasn't getting that reward feeling from helping people. Like I felt so much more reward from just gifting people medicine, and helping people with things. That just made me feel so much better. And then I guess it took time to develop that. When you're young, you're figuring things out. You're not so wise yet. And as I got older and into my later 20s, started realizing like, no, this is what I should be doing. This is what I should be doing. Like, why am I photographing like these huge buildings? I was working with architects mostly. Like, why am I working with all these architects when I could be, working with people like on a real level, like really helping people? So that was like one good thing about moving here. I think it really pushed me to switch, because I don't know if I would have done that staying there, because also I would say as a career, herbalism is going to be more competitive where I'm from, right? Because there's more people doing it too. So maybe I felt like, oh, there's so many like great herbalists here. Like, how would I ever be able, to sort of work under their wing, Moving here, I felt like, oh, there's not a lot of people actually that are working with plant medicine. It seems like it's really skipped a generation. It's been getting lost in history. And I feel like Finns really needed that information and really needed me here. And I love hearing from some people, that they're like, you're really meant to be here. We need you here. Like, we're so happy you moved here. And those are some of my favorite conversations. Like, because sometimes it can be a little hard living here. It's not so easy with the weather, I will tell you. But that reward of being able to help people here and hearing that firsthand from people that they're really happy that I've moved here.
Thanks for being here. I was thinking about that, like photography for some other person, it may be the purpose and how they want to, but like for you, if that wasn't that thing, so you had the herbs thing and Ayurveda.
Yeah, like I said, I did really like the photography and I was good at it, and I do miss it sometimes, but I just wasn't getting that same fulfillment, that same purpose feeling from it. Yeah. And I think I knew from a younger age that I would have like a few different careers in life. I wouldn't always do the same thing. I think I also knew that I wouldn't have necessarily live in the same country. I've lived in 3 different countries. I think I even knew I might have like more than one marriage, which I am on my 2nd marriage. So I think there's something in me that needs change, that needs to be constantly evolving too. And that for me is important as a person living in this world, the way things are now. I feel like life in Finland, I would say. I kind of hope this is like it. I don't know if I really would be ready for a 4th. I am a little bit older now, so it's time to sort of take things back and start to slow down a little bit more, less building, and kind of try to steady things out more.
Yeah, yeah. I understand, we're almost the same age, so I have the same feeling for myself. So,
Yeah.
Did you have like some other like plan B or something like here in Finland for career, or like did you have some other dreams like adding to that photography and herbalism, some other like visions for a career?
Well, when, like I said, I moved here for love to be with my husband. And when I moved here, we wrote a book together. Well, he wrote the book and I took the photographs. So I was able to still do photography, but it was more for fun. So I was building my Ayurveda business, but then taking photos for fun for our book. So that was kind of like a nice transition. It was like taking photos in a free way. There was nobody telling me like really what to take photos of, or there was no pressure like, oh, this needs to be taken by Friday and we need these photos by this date and it's raining every day, what do I do? Like that was definitely a problem on the island. Like it rains so much and you're supposed to be like photographing things in rainstorms all the time. So that like took a little bit of a turn in the photography and made it like a little more fun and a little more playful, and I enjoyed doing that, and working on that book with my husband was really nice. And but yeah, I knew when I moved here, like there's no way I'm gonna be out there like with frozen hands and the tripod and the camera, like trying to do my work. I just knew it would be even harder, like physically even harder to do that kind of work here. So the right time to change. I just knew it. It just really felt like the right time.
Yeah. Do you like listen to your intuition? Like I know you must listen to it, but has it been like from childhood and younger age? Like, do you follow your intuition for your like decisions?
Yeah, I definitely I would say I follow my heart. Like I just kind of shoot the arrow and where it lands and the heart resonates with that and it's go time. Like I don't really overthink things that much. I mean, who else would like meet somebody, spend 6 days with them and then move to Finland 3 months later? Not many people would do that.
Yeah.
So that's a prime example of yeah, definitely listening to the heart. And I think there was that moment like with the photography, like, and not doing the herbalism as a career. I felt like that moment, like I'm not following the heart here on this one. Like, I really need to be following the heart. And so, but you know, it's this sort of fine line where we have like a lot of really great artists and just anybody working in the arts, and I would consider herbalism as part of the arts too, is that it can be hard to make a career from that, you know, because people often also kind of expect those things to be free or like low payment for those kinds of things. Some people have a hard time asking payment for those things as well. So it can be difficult for people to go in that kind of career because they're worried that they're going to be like a starving artist, you know? So I guess I always had that kind of thought too, like, oh, I don't want to be like, you know, starving artist style. And in the photography, it paid quite well. So there was always that kind of safety from it. But, you know, I guess as you get older, you also kind of become more comfortable in your own skin and you're like, okay, well, I can do this. I'm ready to change this over. And everyone like was like, yes, of course, you know, everyone who knew me was like, of course you should be doing that. Like, go for it. So yeah, I don't have any regrets on that at all. It's all worked out well. Like I would say there are times, of course, where I'm like, oh, you know, this is difficult, and photography was definitely the safer option, but it doesn't really matter to me. Like I said, when people ask like, what would you do if you didn't have to like have a job? You know, I would definitely be still doing the plant medicine for sure. So.
You mentioned that that sometimes life is hard for everybody. So how do you like go through those moments personally?
I try to do one nice thing for myself per day, or nourishing. So there's a difference between nice and nourishing. So nice might be like feel good kind of thing, which also has a nourishing element to it. So it could be sauna, for example. That would be like something everyone could relate to. Or I might give myself an eye ghee treatment. That's where I have these goggles where I pour ghee into them and like soak my eyes in ghee, which is boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's really, really nourishing for the eyes. If your eyes are sore or fatigued, or you're starting to get wrinkles under the eyes, you know, things like that, I might do something like that for myself. The days that are busier where I don't have a moment for something like that, you know, it can even be like making my favorite herbal tea blend. Like not just a tea bag from the shop, but all my jars up in the kitchen. I have like amazing glass jar collection of herbs, of course, and like going through and really like hand picking, like what do I need that day? You know, what is going to work for me? So that would be on that nourishing part, right? It's maybe not so feel good like a sauna or massage or something, but it's nourishing my mind body. So I would say for people, like, as a good tip, maybe start with something simple like that. Maybe it sounds luxurious to say you do one nice thing for yourself per day, you know, but it can be something as simple as like putting your own tea blend together, you know, or find out what it is for you. Like, what is it that you would do if you didn't have to do anything? Like, say you didn't have commitments in life, right? Like, what is it that you like doing? And start from there. Because you can usually find your purpose in life through that, you know, enjoy through that.
Yeah, that's really, I agree with that. So you have to like put your praying off for a moment.
Yes. So go to the forest, because that's a good place to do it, because you won't see anybody. It's Finland, right? There won't be anybody there. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can be alone in your own thoughts, you know, and the plants and the trees, they do give off these aromas and natural oils, and you know, they get the brain working, like all those pine trees, right? All the mantu and these trees we have here. I mean, going to the forest, it does do something for your mind to clear it. Like it is actually like a chemical reaction for the brain. There is something to that. So if you're not sure what your purpose is, just wake up one day, think on a day where you don't have to do anything, you don't have any commitments, and be like, what is it you love to do? If you can't think of what that is, go to the forest, you know, you're likely to find it there.
Yeah.
Be more clear there.
Yeah. Do you have like some kind of like mindset? I'm a little bit like mindset person, also a body person, but like some mindset tricks that how you can like keep the faith and vision for the maybe the future or something like that.
Yeah. So let's see. In my situation is probably a little different, but I do struggle in the winter here. Like it is super long and it's really dark. And I have been here for 10 winters now, and I'm still not used to it. So I don't think I ever will get used to it. And I love cycling. So I have like these dreams where I'm bike riding in a t-shirt, you know, but I wake up and I'm like, oh, it's winter, you know? So I obviously like can't do that now in this time. And I even find it a struggle to bike ride on the ice. Like I have tires with spikes, but I still get kind of freaked out that I'm going to fall. And it's difficult with the dressing. You like go out and you're freezing, and then you get all sweaty, and then you're like frozen sweat. I find it's very hard. So I've been biking inside, and that was really a struggle for me to do at first. I was like, okay, I'm giving up this like part of my life, like 6 months of the year that I really love. And I'm like going inside to do that. So I've just thought about how to make that time better. Like, how do I make that time fabulous? Which sounds kind of like fabulous.
Yeah.
No, I get excited. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make myself this like really amazing like energy drink. I'm not talking about like from the food shop energy drink, like my own personal made, like with herbs, and like I'm gonna make something that tastes really great and then like has all these medicinal herbs in there. I'm gonna like drink that before I go, so get myself excited. And then I pick out, okay, I'm gonna listen to probably some herbalist podcast, like one of my favorite herbalists. I'm probably gonna listen to something like that, some like health kind of podcast. And I'm either going to learn something new that is going to help me help other people, or I'm going to review, because herbalism is so deep. There's so much memorizing. You kind of need to go through flashcards like regularly and go over like, also like the drug interactions, we need to know which are safe for drug interactions and things as well. So not keeping on top of your herbs is really important. So I'll either do review, or I will, like I said, listen to new podcasts or one of my favorite herbalists and learn something new that I can give to other people. So I think about it as this like learning time as well. It's like this essential time. So I turn it into this sort of like more positive way, where if I was bike riding outside, I would never listen to anything, because I always want to be able to have my hearing for safety. I see people bike riding with headphones all the time, but I would personally get freaked out to do that. I like to be able to hear what's going on around me. So I just kind of changed the mindset on it. Instead of it being like, oh, it's boring, it's inside, I have to pay for a gym membership, I'm not outside getting fresh air. I've kind of changed it in this way of how I can turn it into something like positive and useful. So, and I think you can use that with anything in life,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously some people's lives are more spectacular than others. Some people probably are working a job they really hate, and they're kind of like, why am I stuck in this? And, I don't belong here. And, and that is a bad and difficult situation to be in. I'm not saying like, oh, just keep your shitty dishwashing job and put headphones in and pretend like everything's okay. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that there is always a way to make any situation better through mindset.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that maybe some art jobs cannot make the living like right away, at least. But I have been like maybe that's also possible to do like two jobs like same time at first, and maybe if you really like to do something, so you can like do something else where you get the money, and then do the other time that's your own thing. And I think I encourage people to do it, like if it takes longer or long time, so it's still worth it, I think, when you can do the thing you love.
Definitely. And even with photography, I was doing photography on the weekends and after work in the evenings for the first, and during the day I was working in a digital photo lab. So it was those first times where we were like really getting into Photoshop and editing photos. And I had to have like a day job even when I started my photography career. So I had to do it like that. And I worked way too much and it was really crazy. And luckily I didn't have to do that when I switched from the photography to the herbalism, because I did have a little savings when I moved here, because I was working as a photographer and doing pretty well. So I had a little savings when I moved here, and my husband was really supportive and amazing, and was encouraging. He's like, don't worry if you're not bringing in big bank, when you switch, it was okay situation in the beginning there. So that's, it was a good time to do that as well. So it does help also to have, if you have family support, friend support, or partner support too, if you're trying to switch your career, that can be helpful as well. You can reach out to people and be like, hey, I really want to get out of this job. I really would like to do this instead. Maybe you can get funding from somebody that way too. I've heard of people doing that before. Like I haven't personally gotten it quite like that, but I've heard of people like, their family's like, yeah, like let's donate like some money towards you while you're like building this career, or yeah, you do the day job and then you do what you want to do in the evenings and weekends. You just have to be really disciplined. I've been there. It's easier to do when you're younger. Definitely. I was in my early 20s, so I had a lot of energy, but you can do it that way. I mean, if you're just filling your time like weekends and evenings anyway with just, watching Netflix and things, it's like, I know it's tough if you have a day job and you're tired afterwards and all you want to do when you come home is just watch the Netflix and on the weekends just laze around, but you will get stuck in that cycle, if you allow yourself. So you really have to like rise up from that to get yourself out. Otherwise you just keep burying yourself deeper and deeper into it. So it takes some discipline, definitely. And I know the winter here doesn't make it any easier. So maybe start in the spring. Now it's January. Now you're having these ideas, right? The gears are turning. Yeah. But like go full force in March or something, because we are supposed to be like hibernating like the bear now. We're not supposed to be coming up with all these new strategies and ideas and shifting things so dramatically anyway. So, living in tune with nature is really important. And that is very part of Ayurveda as well. And like an Ayurvedic tool that we can use here. It doesn't matter where you live. You have seasons. You look at the seasons. You think, what do I do is the opposite of that season? So now it's dry. It's super cold and dry. So you want to do opposite, right? You want to have warm and moist. So sauna, obviously, like Finns are brilliant inventing sauna. Brilliant invention. That's the most Ayurvedic thing I've ever heard.
Really?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Live in a climate that is harsh and cold and drying, and you have this like warm, moist room. You pour water and it becomes moisture in the air and it's warm. That's super Ayurvedic. Yeah.
Nice.
The body. So Ayurveda is also about, keeping the mind, body healthy and cleansing. So it's cleansing that way too. So it is really probably the most Ayurvedic thing I can think of.
What do you think about when you mentioned the sauna? What do you think about the cold exposure, like through the Ayurvedic lens?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that comes up pretty often because people often think that, it's a panacea, which means it's good for everybody to go to the cold water. And I think it's good for a lot of people and people can get health benefits from that. But there are a few indications where I wouldn't recommend it. So there are different types of arthritis, for example. There's hot arthritis and there's cold arthritis. So if you have hot type of arthritis, it's going to be, cooling for the joints and releasing inflammation from the joints in the hand.
I didn't understand that word, but yeah.
Arthritis, like when the joints, like in the knuckles, the fingers,
nivel.
The elbows and the wrists. Yeah, all those joints in there. If you have arthritis in there, then they're cracking and they're hurting. Yeah. So if you have the hot type, going to the cold water is going to cool that down and it's going to help reduce the pain. But if you have like a cold type of arthritis, it's going to make the joints worse and the pain worse. And it might not even feel like it in that moment, but it could even hurt the next day. So if you go to Avanto, like this cold water plunge, and you feel bad the next day, especially in your joints, it is not good for you. Not good.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen to your body with the cold water. Like I said, it can be really good for a lot of people, but you really got to listen to the body and see how your body's responding to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a few questions here. So we have been going like almost 50 minutes. It's really nice to talking with about this, all the interesting stuff you are telling us, and you also give the like tips for people who maybe are considering new career. So that's really nice.
Yeah, that's not something I usually talk about in my profession so much. So it's kind of fun to talk about it, actually. Like when people come for Ayurveda consultations where we talk about the health and we're talking about routine for them and lifestyle, we do talk a little bit maybe about their career and their work, but I don't usually go into it in so much detail because I can't really change people's jobs for them, their careers. That's not quite my expertise, but yeah, maybe I did give some good advice and tips for people today, I hope.
Yeah, I think I would like to hear if somebody is listening. So I always like to get some feedback. So it's really nice if you are listening and if you get some like breakthroughs or some ideas or thoughts. So you can send a message. So I check. I have a few questions left here. So. So with what kind of things you can help people with Ayurveda and herbalism?
Yeah, so like I said, Ayurveda is we're looking at the world through this lens of these hot, cold, dry, wet kind of conditions. So which is kind of similar to Chinese medicine. And so if somebody comes for a consultation, I'm going to take their pulse. I'm going to look at their tongue, because the tongue also is like a map of what's happening inside the body. And then I'm going to tell them about the balance of these qualities of cold, dry, wet, hot, for example. We're going to use these 3 words called vata, pitta, and kapha, which explains the doshas in more detail. And I explain more about that if somebody needs to know more. But those 3 words aren't so important. These qualities of the elements are more important, the wet and dry kind of thing, and hot and cold. Those are the most important parts. So I think most people understand those qualities. And then we talk about how to balance each individual person according to those elements. So maybe that person is going to need to have a lot of moist and wet food and warm food like soups and stews. Or maybe somebody needs to dry out the food a little bit more. Maybe they're having way too much dairy and way too much fat for them, and they actually need to go in the opposite direction of lightening things up a bit, because each person is different. So we're going to have different advices. So I'm more talking about how we're eating as far as these qualities of the food, rather than exactly what to eat, like no bananas or no bread. You know, I'm not like so strict in that way, but more about how we're eating for each person. And beyond the foods, like I said, we go into lifestyle. So what kind of exercises would be more suitable? Maybe that person needs more vigorous exercise, or maybe they need more gentle exercise. Maybe they need to follow the seasons a little more carefully in winter or in summer, depending on their unique constitution. So we're going to look at all of that. I even go into asking people what supplements and vitamins they're taking, and we see which ones are the most suitable, because sometimes people take supplements or vitamins just because they hear it's popular, but that might not actually be suitable. It can actually be the opposite. Some herbs can actually be damaging for people if they're not suitable for them. So we're going to really fine tune which teas, herbs, and supplements to take for each person as well, which I think is really great, important in this moment when everybody's going to the health food store and trying all these new things.
Yeah, I have been in some of your treatments, and I find them really like relaxing for the nervous system and the body.
Yeah, I also do body work. So if you want to come for Ayurvedic massage, I use a lot of oil, like cups of oil over the body. We're doing acupressure or marma points. So there's like these points in the body, and then whole body oil massage. So it's a feel-good massage, but it also has a lot of medicinal quality to it, because I'm pressing different marmas for each person. I'm going to take the pulse first, just a little quick pulse reading to see what kind of oil I should use for each person, and also which marmas I should be pressing for each person. I also do pregnancy massage and baby massage, and this really lovely, like warm Shirodara oil, which is over the head very slowly, back down the head, like big amount of oil. And people sometimes fall asleep. I know it sounds kind of strange, like oil slowly pouring over the forehead, but it's so relaxing. People literally fall asleep, and it's like a brain reset. So it's like washing the brain away from all the distraction. So it's kind of like if you have a hard time meditating, this would be where you actually just go into meditation. Like you just surrender to it. You can't fight against it, because it just does it for you, basically. Yeah, so I have all kinds of different Ayurvedic treatments that I offer. I'm in Porvoo, and I'm also in Helsinki.
Yeah, and you're in your IG. We can find more info on your website. Can you tell about that? Because now we are in IG, but I put this also to the Spotify and YouTube, so where people can find you.
Prasad Nordic Ayurveda on Instagram, and it's Prasad Pistafi, or prasad.fi is the website. And on the website, you can read about all the different consultations and treatments there. I have a web shop too, where I have all my products for sale there. So I have really nice products to check out. I know Maria's favorite is the Love Elixir, the Lemon Roto. So if you're not sure, try that one first. It's my favorite product. It's definitely the best thing that I make. So I definitely recommend that.
Yeah, and maybe we have like some other, maybe shorter IG live later about our like cooperation things which are starting now also. And I have to mention, because you said about the Finnish winter, it was hard for you, and it is hard for you, and it is hard for us Finns most. So you did you like invent it like for that purpose also, to survive the Finnish winter?
Yes, it's the first thing I made when I moved here, because I did move here in a winter, and I thought I'm never gonna survive. I'm not gonna make it. You know, it was the beginning of winter, and I was like, oh, this is gonna go on for like another 6 months. Okay, how am I gonna do this? And yeah, I started making it for myself. Like all my products, I always make them for myself first. And then people are asking me like, well, what is this? And or I make perfumes also, like, what is that amazing perfume you're wearing? And then people just want them. So then I kind of like have to just start making more. That's sort of how it works out. And so I never think about the calculations or the money or the profit of a product before I make it ever. I always just make it, make a ton of it, use it a lot, give some out as gifts, and then people are asking for it. And then I'm like, okay, this needs to be like an official product now. And then I go through all the boring bureaucracy and income stuff part, which I wish I totally could have somebody else do that part for me, because I'm not so interested. But like I said, it's like turning the craft of what I love and what my purpose is on this planet to do, and turning it into something to help support me and my family. Yeah. And that's what I recommend. If you can do it, go for it. It feels, even though you have to deal with the Finnish bureaucracy, and it's worth it. Worth it in the end.
Yeah. If you do like what you love, there's also always something like bookkeeping and technical stuff. If you don't like them, there's always like some also things that you don't maybe love, but it's worth it. It's the greatest feeling to get to help people with your like skills and knowledge.
Definitely. I love, like, my best day is when I wake up in the morning and I have somebody write me back on how something has drastically changed after seeing me. Like people who get off their medication and they feel better, like they don't have to take medication anymore. That's always a great one. Feels super good. I have a testimonials page on my website. If you want to click there and read more, you can see how I've been helping people. And you know, and for Finns to write back any feedback is quite rare, because they're not like giving out so much. And of course I'm not asking for it, but when they give it, I'm like, wow, this is gold. I'm going to put it on the testimonial page so other Finns can see, you know, that people are getting help from coming to see me.
Yeah, it's really good that people give the feedback, so other people can see like what things like this can this really helps. Of course, you can write like the things to the website, but it's really good when people tell about it, so other people can read also that. So maybe I have one more question, and then we can go on for this day somewhere else than in IG Live. So what kind of visions you have for the future, and how do you want to impact the world, like from this now on? You've told about the book a little bit, but do you have some other, or if they are like secret, you don't have to tell?
Yeah, no, I am an open book. I really like no secrets. So yeah, I have huge vision, and I'm only one woman here, but that's why I am putting out to the universe now that I am looking for somebody to work under my wing. So to work under Prasad. I'd really like to find somebody that has a background already, a little bit, at least a little bit in Ayurveda, or Ayurvedic body work would be really great. Some massage training there, to work with me. And then I can train on top of that, because I feel like as one person, I want to help more people. You know, there's only so much one person can do. And I also feel like I have so much knowledge. I want to share it with somebody as well. Of course, I'm teaching my daughter. She's 6 and she's learning everything, and she's so into it. And I'm really excited to see how that turns out. But yeah, I would really like to have somebody working with me there that that wants to learn more about these Ayurvedic treatments specifically to help more people. And yeah, the book, I want to put it into a class, like an online class, where people can go through a whole year of Ayurveda with me. So it'd be a supported year together. And I think that is really would be better than going to sit in a classroom and study Ayurveda, because you're living it and you're getting support through the entire season. That's really how you learn Ayurveda too, is seasonally, you know, because it's always about the opposite. So like, which season is it now? Okay, it's spring. It's wet. It's kind of cold, wet. We need to dry things out a little more. We need a lot of the local wild plants that are popping up at that time. You know, so I'm going to take people through those herbs during that springtime. They're going to go out, they're going to eat them. I'm going to tell them how to do it. You know, I've got all these great videos on how to do that. So those, yeah, the big plans there with the book, the online supported class, and somebody under my wing to start sharing that teaching and knowledge with. So contact me if you're interested. I haven't found anybody yet.
Yeah. So if anybody knows somebody who is really good in Ayurvedic massage, body treatment, and knows a little bit stuff already, so
yeah, that would be helpful. They don't have to have the base. Like, some Ayurvedic base would be good, preferably the body massage, but we'll see what the universe sends my way.
Yeah, let's trust the universe. So I put also like below here your IG address, so maybe there you find the link to your webpage and other services. And yeah, thank you so much. It was really nice chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I'll see you around town because we live in the same city.
Yeah. Porvoo. Yes. So thank you and see you, and maybe we can keep the other social live in some point here in the springtime.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Bye.